been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off. Hi, we're gonna try this out. My desk is behind me, but like the sun is sunning and I want it to look sun-kissed. That looks sun-smothered, but we'll see. We'll see. This is a different setup. Got Baldwin in the back. I gotta say, winter was wintering for me. You know, I had to take a break, self-reflect, recoup. We made it. It's 2024. We made it. I'm okay. So I spent November and December in Germany, and I want to talk a little bit about my experiences. Overall, hated it, don't recommend. And I'm going to get into why, right? I want to preface this by saying some of these instances could just be like situational. It could just be like a me thing. Maybe I just had like a stroke of bad luck, because it definitely felt like I was cursed. But like literally things that have never happened in my experience traveling all of last year happened while I was in Germany or getting to Germany. And so I was just like, you know what? It's not the country for me. It's just not the country. I could leave it. I could really leave it. Okay. So let's talk about it. So for starters, I don't know how many people know my situation, but I am a solo traveler. I've been traveling with my 2 Chihuahua mixes who are taking a nap and are not talking to us today, which is very good. But yeah, so I bring them with me. And we usually, I'll probably do like a separate video on how we travel. I think when I started this journey, I had this idea of like, you know, me and the dogs hopping trains and we're going to hop trains across Europe. But the reality of that is I have too much luggage and these dogs are too heavy and they don't know how to act right on lead. So, on leash, you know, over here they say lead. So I just don't want to put myself through that stress, right? So when I was I spent October in Denmark. I was in Copenhagen. And when I was going from Denmark, I wanted to go to Frankfurt, Germany. And taking off my socks because now I'm getting hot. We're about to see as this video progresses. I'm probably gonna start like taking things off. I might cut this out. So there was an hour flight from Copenhagen to Frankfurt, literally an hour. And my dogs were going to travel in cargo. We've traveled in cargo before to several countries using this same crate. When I get to the airport, we were flying Lufthansa. Lufthansa is a German airline. They tell me my crate is too small for my dogs. It was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. They were just generally just rude. They're just rude. And it made me feel terrible. Like, I think, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but I feel like sometimes as an American, when you come over to Europe, they assume that you're going to be a jerk. Because I think in America, we have this standard of just like customer service and like politeness, and because obviously it's fueled by capitalism. If we're nice to you, you're going to come back. In Europe, it's not that vibe because, you know, obviously people are paid livable wages, and we're not going to get into politics, whatever, but people are paid livable wages so they don't have to kiss your feet to get you to come back and do the business. Like, if you want this coffee, you gonna sit here and drink this coffee, basically. Now, so I can understand that, but I still feel like there's a part of this that is just human decency and kindness. It could be a little kind to me, and I'm more likely to return, right? And not that I'm saying like they should have been the rules for me, so now it's a problem. What I'm saying is, even if my dogs weren't going to board the flight that day, there's a certain way that you handle customers, right? With a certain level of just niceness and politeness and not being rude to them, and not treating them unkindly. So now you've lost a customer. Now I'm never going to fly that airline ever again. And it's because of that experience that I had. Again, I don't ever want to go to Germany again because I've had several experiences where Germans were just not nice. They're just not nice people, in my opinion, right? So we get to Germany. I ended up renting a car, and we drove from Copenhagen. We drove to Hamburg. It was actually a very nice drive, just me and my dogs. Again, if anybody's interested in hearing that journey, I'll talk to you about it later. I don't mind. But yeah, so sometimes I just throw the dogs in the back of a rental and we drive somewhere. So yeah, another thing is, when I finally did get to Frankfurt, I got this thing called a Deutschland ticket. So I was going to be in Germany for 2 months, and I really do think it's like affordable if you're going to be riding the trains a lot and using public transportation. It works on like buses and different kind of trains. There's certain trains it doesn't work on, but like most of the time you can hop on it with just a Deutschland ticket. You don't have to pay a fee, and they also don't track it, which I think is kind of strange. Like, you don't have to check in and out. You can just get on the train, and then if a conductor or whoever comes by to check your ticket, you can show them your little thing that's on your phone. I want to say it was like 50 euros, and it's for the whole month, right? So I had done my research and I had bought the Deutschland ticket. The thing is, I got to Frankfurt, I think it was October 31st. My Deutschland ticket didn't start till November 1st. So I was riding the train back. I was returning my rental at the airport and then riding the train back to where I was staying at my Airbnb. My Deutschland ticket didn't start till November 1st. When that man came and asked me for my ticket, I confidently gave it to him. I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm covered. I did it. I'm covered. So I showed him my ticket, and he was like, this is not for today. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? My silly behind, but it is because I'm usually like a big Halloween person, but for some reason it just wasn't on my mind that there are 31 days in October, and today is not, your ticket is not valid. I didn't look. I didn't check, right? Mistake. And this man was like, it's a 60 euro fine for not having a ticket. I was like, listen, I haven't been in Germany for 24 hours. This is my first time riding a train. Can I just hop off and get the correct ticket? This is a mistake. Can I hop off and get the correct ticket? No, those are the rules. What? Let me tell you, I get that there are some people who try to get over. I'm not going to be honest with you. In my time in Germany, that was the only time anybody has ever checked my ticket. And I rode so many trains on the 2 months that I was there, so many buses, nobody checks your ticket. The first day that I am in Frankfurt, somebody checks my ticket and I get a $60 fine. Like, you could easily say, we understand that's a mistake. I understand that you're a tourist. Get the correct ticket when you hop off the train. Get off on the next stop and get the correct ticket. But instead, I got a $60 fine. And like, there's an argument for, well, these are the rules. But again, I do feel like if you want people to return to your country, you should, or even like from just a human level of human kindness and human decency, if you have an understanding like this person genuinely doesn't know, this person is not trying to get over and cheat the system, whatever, they're a tourist, this is their first time here. If you have that understanding, you could just kind of let it go, but you're choosing not to let it go. You're choosing to uphold this rule. I mean, this $60 is not going to your pocket. I'm just saying, this $60, but I feel like German people are like that. Like, a rule is a rule. There's no bending of the rules. There's no, like, sometimes you could get away with some such and such. Like, they really will give you a hard time behind a rule that does not pay their bills, and I don't understand that at all. I just don't get it. So I don't know. Another thing I don't like about German people is they don't really know how to mind their own business. They're always minding your business unless you need help, because if you need help, oh, they're mute. They have no idea. They don't know how to speak English. They don't know what you're talking about. They're trying to move you along. But there was one time I was walking my dogs, and you know, I'm sure, I don't know. The place I was walking them was a place I wasn't supposed to be. It was right outside of my Airbnb. It was just like this random lot. So I was like, where? So I was walking my dog, and this German guy comes up to me, and he's like, do you live here? Now, mind you, I'm Black American. I've had white people come up to me before and ask me if I live somewhere. So needless to say, I don't respond kindly to that. Okay, I'm gonna look at you crazy. You don't have a right to ask me if I deserve to be in a space. Sorry, I don't care who you are. Unless this is your building, like as in you own the entire building and you have a letter that's letting me know that I can't do whatever it is I'm doing. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Okay, so this man comes up to me and he's like, do you live here? And I'm like, well, first he starts speaking to me in German. That's another thing. They'll start speaking to you in German, and then if you respond in English, you say like, oh, I don't understand, or I would say like, do you speak English in German? Probably poorly. You know, that was the only phrase I learned. And then he switched English, and he was like, do you live in this building? And I was like, yes. And he was like, well, you can't have your dog here. And I looked around because I didn't see a sign, you know, because usually I try to look for signs and then I'll use Google Translate. Like if it's in German, I would use Google Translate. And if it says something like, you know, sometimes it'll just be a picture of a dog with like an X on it or whatever. I didn't see any signs. It was just a random lot. And he was like, you can't walk your dog here. I was like, oh, why not? And he's like, well, if you walk your dog here, everybody's going to walk their dog here. And I was like, that's not my problem. I live here. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. And he's like, well, which building do you live in? Stop talking to me, sir. Stop talking to me, sir. Right? So another thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm not sure, y'all think German people racist? I don't know if it's racism or if they're just genuinely not nice people. Like, because I think, so like, okay, we're gonna talk about race for a little bit. I think as a Black American, we're accustomed to a certain level of racism, right? Like, if this same scenario happened where I'm from in Louisiana, I'd be like, oh, this is a white person sing. That don't make any sense. But you know what I mean? Like, this is a white person trying to assert dominance in a space or trying to make me feel unwelcome. Immediately, 1000%, if this same situation had happened in where I'm from in Louisiana or where I used to live in Texas, I would just assume white privilege. Boom. In Germany, the reason why I cause like a pause there is because I don't necessarily feel like it's racism. I think this is a bold statement, while I've been in Europe, I haven't really experienced much racism. And I think part of that is classism. They hear the American accent, so they assume, oh, you know, she's different. I think also it could be that I'm like brown skinned in a way, right? So know that while I was in Germany, I felt uncomfortable. There were times when I felt uncomfortable, and I didn't know if people were responding to me in this way because I'm Black, or if they're responding to me in this way just because they're generally, as a people, unkind towards other people who aren't German, right? Again, I mentioned a lot of people pretending not to know English. The reason why I would say they're pretending not to know English is because I discovered I'm not pretending to know English. I went to the mall and I was buying some clothes, and I asked the girl, do you speak English in German? I had learned how to say that, and she told me no. So I was trying to, you know, gesture to find my size, the correct size. One of her coworkers came and said, you speak English. Why did you say no? And she was like, oh, and she laughed it off. But I was like, wait a second. Is that what everybody's been doing with me? Because, you know, and we can have a conversation about how, as an American, it is a privilege that you can go anywhere in the world and people, you know, will speak English to you. I get it. I totally get it. I've also been humbled in several instances where, like, you know, right now I'm in Albania. A lot of Albanians don't speak English. And so I have been learning Ship, which is their local language here. And I get that. When I was in Spain, I was brushing up on my Spanish and trying to use Spanish. I understand that. But if I'm struggling with something, if I need help in some way, to pretend not to understand how to communicate with me so you can get out of helping me is unkindness. And that's what I don't like. And I think also having my first international experience being Ireland and now comparing every place to Ireland. If you have not been to Ireland, go to Ireland. Go to Ireland. Irish people are just friendly. And I'm not talking about like American Irish people. I'm talking about Irish people, Ireland. They are friendly. They will stop what they're doing and help you. I've had free bus rides. I've had people stop in the middle of where they're going. Oh, are you lost? If I look at my phone and I figure out where I've had people stop me and say like, are you lost? What are you looking for? Where are you going? And really I've had people walk me to places and like out of their way, you know? So that experience, my first time abroad, that experience and just having people, you know, help me and just be like, just kind towards me really colored the rest of my experiences that as I've been traveling. And what I've discovered is like, most people do want to help you, except in Germany. What else is there? I went for the Christmas markets. The Christmas markets were not Christmas marketing. I wanted to frolic through the stalls like I was in, you know, one of those Hallmark movies. It just was not the vibe. The mulled wine was good. I'll tell you this, if your mulled wine is not coming from a barrel, if you have to use like a ladle, you know, if it's just not this large vat of mulled wine, it's not authentic. Okay, because you can taste the difference. You can really taste the difference from like fresh mulled wine to like store-bought. The food is mediocre in Germany. It's pretty mediocre. There was nothing there that I felt like, wow, this is an amazing gastronomical experience. Like, never. The sausage was good. It was good sausage, right? But other than that, I was unimpressed. If anything, I was grossed out. There was one time where I stayed in Frankfurt, but I also like took the train to go to different cities, and I spent my last week in Munich. I did like Munich, I'm not gonna lie. I did like Munich for what I saw of it. But on my way from Frankfurt to Munich, I actually missed my last train, and it was in the middle of the night, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and there weren't any hotels open because it was just like a really small town. I like missed the connecting train that would have taken me to Munich. So what I ended up having to do is hop on the other train, which took me to Nuremberg. And then I got a hotel in Nuremberg, which is also a cute little town. And there was a nice person there, but he was also an implant. He wasn't German. He was complaining about German people too. So I do think there's like this story book appeal, like, oh, you go there and there are these like cute little towns, and I did get that. Like, I liked Hamburg when I went, but I just did not like interacting with German people, really. So that gives it a low grade for me. I think as far as like the environment and scenery, it's very nice, right? But I feel like you could get that somewhere else in another European city, right? Because at this point, no shade, you get a cathedral and you get tons of museums anywhere you go in Europe. So you might as well go to a place where the people are nice. Do you get what I'm saying? I didn't particularly enjoy Spain because I went there during the summer. I feel like there was just a lot of tourists. But looking back, I prefer Spain to Germany. I would go back to Spain. I intend to go back to Spain. I went to Barcelona. I was okay with Barcelona, but I wasn't like super impressed by it. I really liked Valencia. I really liked Madrid. I would go back to Spain. Germany, even though I liked Hamburg and Munich, I wouldn't go back to or at least not now. I need to like settle, because I think to some degree I'm just kind of like turned off by it. So I'm just like, okay, I don't need to go back to Germany for a while. I'm trying to think what else happened about my experience. I didn't really date while I was there. I was seeing one guy. I might cut this out. So like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to keep going with this. I feel like January 2024 was a wash and I was just trying to survive, but my new year just started in February. So we're gonna keep it rolling, we're gonna keep it popping. All right, stay up to date with me. Yeah, more videos to come. Peace out.